Live from the campus of Penn State University, this is PSN News. It's Monday, November 3rd. We have all you need to know about a lawsuit facing Penn State, as well as more on record enrollment for the university.
We also have the latest information in an ongoing controversy at Indiana University, along with sports, entertainment, weather, and an interview. Stay tuned. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Kaitlyn Pfeifer.
And I'm Eva Hines. Conservative student group Uncensored America has filed a lawsuit against Penn State. They claim the university violated their First Amendment rights by suppressing their events. The group says 2 campus events featuring far-right figures were canceled or restricted due to anticipated protests, while other student organizations faced no such limits. The lawsuit alleges the university denied funding, forced indoor relocations, and allowed disruptions. Penn State President Neely Bendapudi and others are named in the suit, which also argues the university's policies give officials too much discretion to limit speech.
Penn State reports record-high undergraduate enrollment at University Park this fall, with more than 42,000 students and its third-largest freshman class. University-wide, Penn State now has over 86,000 students, down slightly from last year as Commonwealth campus enrollment continues to decline. Those campuses saw a drop of more than 5%, with several locations planned to close by 2027. President Neely Bendapudi says demand for a Penn State degree remains strong, even amid changing times for higher education.
A federal judge has temporarily blocked the deportation of Subu Vedam, a state college man who spent 43 years in prison for a murder he did not commit. Vedam was recently exonerated after prosecutors were found to have withheld key evidence. Despite the overturned conviction, the Trump administration sought to deport him over a decades-old drug conviction. The judge's ruling will halt the deportation while Vedam's attorneys petition the country's top immigration court. The government has until Wednesday to respond.
Centre County leaders are calling on lawmakers to end the state budget stalemate that's now entering its 4th month. County commissioners say the impasse is costing about $800,000 a week from local reserves, threatening services and human aid programs. While Centre County has avoided layoffs so far, officials warn other counties may not make it to year's end. The State College Area School Board also passed a resolution urging action, saying more than $3 billion in education funding is being withheld statewide. Local leaders say the delay is hurting Pennsylvania's most vulnerable communities and are pleading for lawmakers to reach a compromise. Now, what kind of weather can students expect for this week? Student meteorologist Frank Gargione is live in the studio with this week's forecast. Frank?
Thanks, Kaitlyn. As we take a live look at Beaver Stadium behind me, lights illuminating the sky. Quite dark for this hour, something we're not really used to here in State College, as daylight saving time just ended yesterday at around 2 a.m., setting our clocks back 1 hour, making those sunset times a little bit earlier. Our next sunset before 5 p.m. will be this Saturday. For the foreseeable future, we're getting to that time of year as we take a look at the current conditions here in State College. Currently sitting in the upper 40s, around 48 degrees, feeling like 44 with a dew point of 34. Visibility is pretty clear at 10 miles and a little bit of a wind from the west at 9 miles per hour. As we take a look at the temperatures across the Commonwealth here in Pennsylvania, warmer towards our south and towards our east here. As I take a step over, taking a look at Harrisburg and Allentown, sitting in the upper 50s, 57 in Harrisburg, 59 in Allentown. And as we head towards our north and towards our east, temperatures in the low to mid 40s. Bradford sitting at 43 and Franklin sitting at 46. As I switch over to the satellite and radar presentation, we just had a little bit of a quick shower and precipitation in the northern tier of the state as we head into earlier this afternoon. This was much needed for the northern tier as we're in some severe drought. As we have some more showers starting to pop up as we head towards 8 p.m. here, with the main system working its way out into the Atlantic Ocean. I just mentioned the drought. As we take a look at our drought drought monitor abnormally dry across the entire state. That's thanks to a lack of precipitation, below average precipitation over really the past couple months across the state, with our most severe drought in those northern counties that just saw some rain. Now, is there any relief in sight? Not tomorrow. As we head into Election Day across America, clear skies anticipated for the early morning hours. As we head into the late morning, early afternoon, clouds try to start to build in as we head throughout the afternoon here across the state of Pennsylvania, but really failed to materialize as we head in towards the evening, start to break up. Again, once we get into the late evening on Tuesday, early morning Wednesday, they once again try to materialize, once again fail, and then as we have a cold front start to move its way in Wednesday afternoon into early Wednesday evening, we get a little spotty precipitation or towards around rush hour here on Wednesday. Behind that, some cooler conditions and some lower temperatures, even having a chance for a snow shower or two in the higher elevations of the northern plateau of Pennsylvania. As we take a look at our Election Day forecast for tomorrow, as you're heading out to the polls early in the morning, polls open at 7 a.m., 46 degrees and sunny conditions. Those temperatures will start to rise as we head into the afternoon time frame around 2 p.m. We're here 56 degrees, which is right around average for this time of year. And then as we start to head towards our polls closing at 8 p.m., temperatures also dropping back down to 46 and remaining clear. As we take a look at our forecast tonight here in State College, 41 degrees and mostly clear conditions with that west wind at 14 miles per hour. And this is expected to continue as we head into tomorrow with a high temperature of 58 degrees, remaining sunny and still with a pesky westerly wind at 15 miles per hour. As we take a look at our 7-day forecast, 58 tomorrow, getting to 64 on Wednesday, which is around 8 to 10 degrees above average for this time of year. And as that cold front sweeps through on Wednesday, temperatures will drop on Thursday to 52 before rebounding back into the lower 60s here on Friday. And we're looking at a little bit of a wet weekend. As we take a look towards early next week on Monday, AM snow showers with a high temperature of 38 degrees and a low temperature of 26. So we're getting to that time of year, ladies and gentlemen. Back to you, Kaitlyn.
Thanks, Frank. Now over to Sydney with the latest in sports.
Thanks, Kaitlyn. I'm Sydney Cox with your sports update. Penn State hockey is on fire. Both the women's and men's ice hockey teams have swept their series on the road. The women's team went out to Robert Morris. It was here the team had back-to-back 4-0 shutouts to have a 12-0 record. This was the team's 6th and 7th shutout win of the season so far. The men's team, on the other hand, went out to Columbus to take on Ohio State with a 3-2 and 4-3 victory to make it 9-1 on the season. The team will be back on the road to face Michigan State this weekend. The Penn State women's cross-country team took a second-place finish last week at the Big Ten Championships. The team placed 4th last season and clearly looked to improve with 3 runners on the all Big Ten teams. It ties the second most in program history since 2016. The feat was led by Florence Carson, who finished 4th for her second straight first-team Big Ten recognition. The women's team will have a week off before going to Bethlehem for the NCAA Mid-Atlantic Regional Championships. The MLB World Series officially wrapped up this weekend, and it did so in dramatic fashion. Both Los Angeles and Toronto fought hard all the way to the 11th inning winner-take-all 7th game, but it was the Dodgers that came out on top with a 5-4 victory. The star-studded team are the first repeat champions in a quarter century, with players such as World Series MVP pitcher Yoshinobu Yamamoto leading the charge. The entire series held heroics on both sides of the diamond and will make for an exciting opening day on March 26, 2026. Although he may not have led a lap, Kyle Larson solidified his second NASCAR Cup Series title Sunday with a 3rd place at Phoenix Raceway. Larson took advantage of the opportunity to move up in the positions when runners up to the title fell, one of such being Denny Hamlin. After Larson's wild season, the last race was nothing short of resilient from the Chevrolet team. On the other end, Hamlin's strong campaign paid off, but for the fans of the Toyota driver, just might have to wait a little longer for that first championship. That's all for your sports update. After the break, Liv Anderson has the latest in the world of entertainment. Stay tuned. Back to PSN News. I'm Liv Anderson with your entertainment update. Juniper Village is joining forces with the PA Breast Cancer Coalition for the Wicked Gala, All's for a Cause, on Thursday, November 6th at 4:30 p.m. Guests will step into Juniper's Emerald City for an evening of Oz-inspired food and drinks, live performances,
raffles, a silent auction, and a costume contest, with a $100 grand prize up for grabs. Inspired by the upcoming Wicked for Good movie, this thrillifying and magical night promises plenty of high spirits and heart. So grab your ruby slippers for a celebration that's truly for good. Join the community this Friday, November 7th from 4 to 7 p.m. at Calvary Harvest Fields for the Room at the Table fundraising dinner supporting local nonprofit Bridge of Hope. Enjoy a delicious selection of soups, salads, and desserts while helping end homelessness for single-parent families in Center County. Admission is $10 with dine-in or takeout options available. Happy Valley became Haunted Valley last week for Halloween. Lily McAfee is live in our studio now with more on a community trick-or-treat event. Lily?
Thanks, Liv. Last Wednesday, I took a walk down Greek Road to check out some trick-or-treating action at Penn State's Greek or Treat. Let's take a quick look at the event.
Local families made their trek to Frat Row this week for Penn State's Greek or Treat event. The event, led by Helena Barletti and Nicholas Sumrell, brought Greek life students together to provide a safe, welcoming trick-or-treat night that strengthened the connection between the university and the community. Talking to students at the event, most seemed to feel a sense of nostalgia as they have not experienced trick-or-treating since they were much younger. They all seem to have bittersweet feelings being on the giving end of trick-or-treat. At the end of the event, Greek or Treat left both students and families with a stronger sense of community and with new Halloween memories.
Seeing all of the costumes and candy really put me in the Halloween spirit. It was such a festive community event. Now back to you, Liv.
Thanks, Lily. Speaking of Halloween, this past weekend the box office hit a frightening low, the worst turnout in over 30 years. Even with big new releases like Black Phone 2 and Colleen Hoover's Regretting You, Entertainment Weekly called it a bloodbath for the box office. The top 10 films pulled in just $42.8 million total, which is the lowest weekend record of the year. Last Thursday, October 30th, Sean Diddy Combs was moved to the low-security Fort Dix Federal Prison in New Jersey. There he'll serve the remainder of his 50-month sentence on 2 counts of interstate prostitution. Combs is scheduled for release on May 8th, 2028, but could be released earlier for good behavior. That's all for your entertainment update. Coming up next, interview anchor Cameron Ricciardi will be speaking with Pearl Gluck, the co-founder and artistic director of the Center County Festival and associate professor of film and video here at Penn State. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to PSN News. I'm Cameron Ricciardi, and today I'm joined by Pearl Gluck, the co-founder and artistic director of the Center Film Festival and associate professor of film and video here at Penn State. Thank you so much for coming in to chat with us this evening, Pearl.
This has been incredible. I want you all to know I was just behind the scenes and it's really where I belong, instead of in front of this camera. I am loving what you're all doing here.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving me that opportunity to see behind the scenes at PSN TV.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, we'll jump right into it.
Sure.
Can you start with telling us a little more about yourself, what the Center Film Festival is, and what attendees can expect this year?
Yeah, so I brought some props, and I was originally with my badge, but basically we have books all over campus, all over town. They're program guides, and they tell you what's going to be going on. It's our most ambitious year ever. I started this festival with someone named Kurt Chandler, which some people here would remember, who was teaching journalism and multimedia storytelling, and then he was also living in Phillipsburg at the time. And I discovered this brand new, no, I'm sorry, the opposite. It was brand new for me. I discovered this 115-hour, 16-year-old theater in Phillipsburg. It's like incredible, a cinema gem. And we both decided, you know what, let's fill this place with films from all over the world. Let's give people a sense of the talent that we have here and bring in global filmmakers to learn about that, but also for us to learn about what's going on out there, and then look at the local relevance for films that we were bringing in. So that's how we started the film festival in 2019. Curtis unfortunately passed away, and in his honor, we award someone who uses the media the way that he did, with meaning. And this year it's Jerry Johnson from Harlem. I don't know if you've ever seen her. She portrays Ty on Harlem, and she went to the School of Theater. So we're very excited about that. So we started it back then. It was 1 week, and now it's, I'm sorry, back then it was 1 weekend. Now it's 1 week. And we went from having 18 films to almost 180 at this point or more, and more than 61 countries represented.
That's awesome. I love that. So I know you mentioned you founded the film festival alongside Curtis Chandler in 2019. Did you ever imagine it would look like this today?
No, a couple things yes and a couple things no. What we knew was that this was going to be amazing for students such as yourselves. Like I walk in this studio and I can just feel a certain energy, and this is what Kurt was doing. He was working with you guys in the broadcast world. I work in the film world. Which, you know, I was joking with your team out there. You know, for us, I just overthink every shot. That's not something you can do in broadcast journalism. But we knew that if we were bringing films in, that it was going to have this impact with students. What I didn't know or didn't expect was having so many students work with us from the very beginning, from its inception. Like, we have almost 100 students involved, including 2 first-year seminars and so on. And then I have to say, hands down, the visiting filmmakers, which, if you're wondering what to do at a film festival, especially this one, I would hit the section immediately on Meet the Guests and see who's coming and network. So I just want to let you know that it's the opposite too. Like, the filmmakers, when they come here, when they leave, they always say our favorite part was meeting students, and I believe it. I really believe it. So that we did not expect to that degree, but we did. We had a vision and a mission to make these films completely free for students. These are films that were at South by Southwest or Sundance, all over the world, and like they're coming out now on Netflix and Paramount and in the theater. So we knew we were trying to do that. What I guess I didn't expect was this kind of engagement, and it's become its own institution, which is incredible.
Yeah, I definitely, I love all of that.
Yeah.
So building on that, how do you see the film festival giving a voice to empower these local filmmakers to hopefully go on to one day larger film festivals?
Yeah, and I think that's a great question. I mean, first of all, not everyone that does come, although we do have some of these really, I guess, more renowned films right now, but at the same time we also have high school films and college films that for the first time ever we're actually showing in person this year. We even have a high school filmmaker coming from Croatia to check us out right here in Happy Valley. So I think we all start somewhere. And that's the other reason I say meet the guests, because you want to know where they got started. Like Don Roy King, for example, we're honoring him this year. Well, he started right here. Like his first job was what is now WPSU. And so, you know, you got to start somewhere. And when you meet these filmmakers, you ask them these questions, like, what was your first film? What was your first moment where you just knew you were doing the right thing? The thing about film festivals is that they're a lot of fun for the community, but they're actually business for filmmakers. And so I think that's a really good place to start here, is to like figure out, you know, how am I going to get out of my comfort zone, go watch these movies and ask these questions so that it helps me in my career, which is the point, of course. And then all the people, the students I mentioned earlier that are working behind the scenes, like some of them are at IST. They may not necessarily be interested in making movies, but they're working the box office, or they're figuring out the inner workings of an app or virtual reality or anything along those lines. And then we have entrepreneurial students, Smeal College students, who are business, and they're interested in budgets and not-for-profit arts management, hospitality. So there's all pieces to it. And if you're building an entertainment industry, which I think we're really trying to do here locally, you have to understand that you need those truckers, carpenters, you know, people who do lighting, and you know, and so on. So there's all these aspects. It basically takes a village.
That's awesome. I love to hear all of that. So I want to turn to some of your personal work now. You have several award-winning films that have been featured at international film festivals. Can you help me walk us through that process of the story going from an idea to a finished film?
Oh my God, how much time do we have? It could start anywhere. It can start here. I could be kind of intrigued by what's going on here and be like, I think I might want to set a scene, and you know. But basically, that's probably one of the reasons we were so committed to starting this, is because I know what a festival can do for me and what has done for me. But you're asking about idea to inception, from inception from the idea to its fruition.
Yes.
And you know, I actually just finished a film that's based right here in central Pennsylvania, and a lot of the ideas came when I was traveling in Poland. But when I came here and I noticed there's such a deep Polish culture here, it started to come up again for me. And you just kind of have to let it unwind. But I think the most important pillar, I think, if you're considering telling stories, is to know who you are, at least in the moment, what you stand for, and then what you're trying to say. because that's going to be, what do they call it, the pure north or true north? Like that's how you're going to know on your compass, both ethically and storytelling wise, why you're doing what you're doing. Because we all make these kind of missteps trying to figure out what we're trying to say. And is this really a good structure, or did I go too far here, or not too far enough here, and is this really well lit, or whatever it is. It always is going to come down to your why. And even choosing costumes comes down to your why, especially as a director. So that's my advice here is, you know, there's something, while we need to learn craft and while you have to learn the industry so you know how to maneuver through it to the best of your ability, and I cannot stress how important networking is, when it comes down to it, no one is you. And so as competitive as the industry is, you have to make sure that you stay true to who you are, and that can shift. But then know what your why is and why you're making the work and who you're trying to talk to. Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you for walking me through that.
For sure.
And finally, you're also a professor here at Penn State. How do you see your involvement with the film festival also impacting and mentoring your students?
Oh, that works both ways. I get a lot out of teaching because I'm also learning from my students about what's fresh, what's happening now, what are the new modes in storytelling, what are the new interest levels, and also the business changes over the years. And so while I know what my tips and tricks are, there's kind of a shift, and you're much more tapped into some of the new ways of communication through the picture industry and through the storytelling, sound, picture industry, and that uses the tool of time, right? Because we're not in still photography. So I'm constantly learning from you and from the new generation. And in terms of mentorship, I said all that. Like I really believe this right here could be the start of a new connection or a new job for you in a month, you know, in a semester from now or whatever. You say, hey, I was at the festival, I saw your film, and they're like, oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, sure. I have time to meet you for coffee. So that's where it overlaps. And of course, we have a student section, and a lot of my students are in the festival.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Pearl, for sitting down with me this evening and telling us a little
by
more
the
about
way.
the Center Film Festival. Oh, thank you. And don't miss the festival next week from November 10th to the 16th. The first pre-festival event is an on-campus screening tomorrow, November 4th at 6 p.m. Now stick around because coming up next, Eva and Kaitlyn will have the latest news from across the nation.
Police are investigating an intentional explosion at Harvard Medical School's Goldenson building in Boston early Saturday morning. No injuries were reported, but witnesses saw two individuals fleeing the scene. The explosion occurred on the building's fourth floor, and authorities, including the FBI, are assisting in the investigation. Harvard University has released CCTV images of the suspects and is asking the public for any help in identifying them.
A former student media director at Indiana University is suing the school, claiming he was fired for refusing to censor student journalists. Jim Rodenbush, who advised the Indiana Daily Student newspaper, filed a lawsuit alleging his termination violated his First and 14th Amendment rights. He says university administrators ordered him to remove traditional news coverage from print editions, a direct violation of press freedom, he claims. IU officials say they don't comment on pending litigation. The firing has sparked outrage, including from billionaire Mark Cuban, who publicly criticized the university, calling censorship not the way.
Police in Oakland are investigating the theft of more than 1,000 items from an off-site storage facility of the Oakland Museum of California. Stolen objects include Native American baskets, metalwork jewelry, and historical memorabilia like campaign pins and athletic awards. Authorities say it appears to be a crime of opportunity, and the museum is asking the public for help tracking the items, which may have already been sold online or in pawn shops. The FBI is assisting with this investigation.
Earlier today, the Trump administration committed to partially fund the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program with a $4.6 billion payment. The decision comes after two federal judges ordered the administration to keep funding SNAP during the government shutdown. Rulings in Massachusetts and Rhode Island require the use of emergency reserve funds to continue benefits for millions of Americans. The USDA had planned to halt payments starting November 1st, impacting 1 in 8 Americans who rely on the program. The courts called that move unlawful and said the administration is legally required to fund SNAP. Advocates say the decision provides temporary relief, but warn that delays and uncertainty still lie ahead. Now over to Kylie with the latest in international news.
Thanks, Kaitlyn. I'm Kylie Smith with your International News Update. 7 are dead and 5 others hurt after an avalanche swept through a camp on Mount Yalung Rai in Nepal earlier today. Mount Yalung Rai is one of the smallest mountains in Nepal, but its peak still stands at over 8,000 feet. There had been reports of poor weather and blizzards on the mountain, but no signs to shut it down completely. Rescuers are on their way to the site on foot, but a helicopter had to turn around earlier this morning due to weather conditions. They will try again tomorrow. Jamaica is scrambling to make repairs after the disaster Hurricane Melissa had left them. Jamaica is just 1 month away from their peak tourism season. The Category 5 storm doing the most damage in the northwest and southwest, but spares the Negril area, where many tourists stay. Jamaica anticipated a 7% increase in their tourist industry this year and are hoping to fix what's necessary by December to maintain that expectation and invite over 4.3 million visitors. That's all for your international news. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Kylie. That concludes our show tonight at PSN News.
Be sure to check us out on Twitter and Facebook at PSN News, on Instagram at Penn State Network News, and to subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/PSN News.
Have a good night and stay safe, Penn State.